Well, hello everybody, and thank you for joining me. I'm John Giardinelli, and this is John's Rants. Today we're going to do a number of things. We're going to talk about a number of issues that are facing real estate professionals, some good, some difficult, and then the next rant we do, we'll follow it up in a little more detail on some of the topics we're going to talk about today. So real quickly, I want to go over a couple of miscellaneous items. First, the Code of Ethics. All of you are obligated to comply with the Code of Ethics. It's your expected behavior. And the National Association of Realtors made 3 changes this year. One is a change to Article 1, which is the duty that you have to your clients and to other parties to be honest. And they changed 1-7. 1-7 is the article that says that if you get an offer with a letter requesting that you confirm in writing that you have submitted that offer to your seller, it is unethical for you to ignore that request, and you must confirm in writing that you have either submitted the offer to your seller, or in the alternative, you send off a letter indicating the seller has instructed you to accept no further offers. The question then became, if I get a letter like that, when am I supposed to respond? This year they added the phrase, as soon as practical. Obviously that's somewhat of an ambiguous term. A few days ago we had professional standards training, so to let you know what's going on at your association, the hearing officers agreed that the amount of time will be no longer than the amount of time for which the offer will expire. Typically, unless a box is checked or a change is made, the offer expires within 72 hours. If you fail to respond to a request for information regarding whether you submitted the offer or not, and you fail to do that within that period of time, it will probably be deemed a violation of the Code of Ethics. The National Association of Realtors also added to Article 3, a standard of practice 3-11. Article 3 is the standard that says that you will cooperate with other real estate professionals in the best interest of your clients. That means you will show property appropriately, arrange for showings, present offers, provide information that's reasonable as requested, so long as all of that is in your client's best interest. The new standard of practice that went into effect on January 1st states, realtors may not refuse to cooperate on the basis of a broker's race, color, religion, sex, handicap, familial status, national origin, sexual orientation, or gender identity. In other words, failure to respond to another real estate professional and cooperate with them simply because of their race or some other identifying feature as just set forth is a violation of your obligation to act and cooperate in your client's best interest. I believe that could even be a breach of fiduciary duty. Article 12 is the advertising article. Article 12 basically says that all of your advertising must be honest and truthful and paint a true picture of the property that you are attempting to sell. A standard of practice 12-2 has been deleted and replaced with new standard of practice 12-1, which says that if you are going to advertise a property as free or something similar, and you are receiving compensation from another source, you must disclose by whom you are being compensated and how you expect to be compensated, the amount or the anticipated amount, any conditions that are associated with the payment that's being offered, or the product or service, and that you must disclose all other terms. So you can still advertise as free, and if something is really free, you're good. If something is free to the person receiving the product or service, but is being compensated in a different manner, that must be disclosed. I'm doing this program in February. I wanted to bring to your attention some forms that are being considered by the state organization. They're going to be in June, probably 3 new forms. One is going to be renamed, but it is essentially an advisory for buyers who are going to attend open houses, and will have information in the form regarding potential security issues such as security cameras and other types of audio recordings. It will have warnings about safety issues such as no shoes, pets, and that kind of thing. There will be a square footage advisory that's still being worked on. It will be an advisory that will allow the seller to advise the buyer how the estimated approximate square footage has been met or has been set out. And then there will be a tenant representation agreement for those of you that are going to be representing tenants. There are going to be a number of other revised forms, a couple of real highlights. And again, this is not happening till June, so there'll be plenty of time for us to get you information. There's going to be a revision to the buyer's inspection election. Number one, instead of yes, no, they're simply going to have a checkbox next to the inspections that you are going to be electing, and then it will be numbered in case you do, for example, a wood-destroying pest and a general home inspection, and then your client decides that they want to do some additional inspections. You can number those to keep track of the inspections and how they're being handled. Additionally, there'll be a change to the trust advisory to confirm when the TDS is due from a seller of a family trust home, and then there are going to be a number of other advisories. As most of you know by now, you will be getting a brand new residential purchase agreement in December of 2020. It is a significant revision. As of the presentation of this program, you can now go on to CAR's website and you can see what is essentially draft. I believe it's number 8. It is a draft that will be very close to the final product. You can take a look at it. You can make comments on it. You will see that it is a 16-page document, that most of the items that would be checked off and or filled in are on the first 4 pages. They've made some significant upgrades, and I believe the contract will be well received once everybody sees the changes that were made. I would urge you to go online, take a look at it. The contract is supposed to be put in final form sometime in May of this year. Once that happens, then the association will announce a training schedule, and you'll be able to figure out what the best way is for you to learn the changes, learn the form, learn the revised forms that will go along with the contract, and you'll have from probably late May, early June, all the way until December, and plus after December, to get ready for what will essentially be a significant revision to the contract. There'll be much more information following, so keep an eye out on the association's website. The Department of Fair Housing and Employment has issued a whole number of new fair housing regulations. The association prints our newsletter, and the newsletter contains a lot of information about the changes and the clarifications that were made, primarily areas dealing with vicarious liability between the property manager and the owner, issues relating to clarification of what is and what is not a service animal or an emotional support animal, issues relating to accommodating the needs of a disabled person, and a clarification of issues where a person has some type of a criminal record. These are very important regulations. Read as much as you can. The California Association of Realtors has issued a Q&A on the new fair housing laws, and we have written a newsletter as well. You can get that on the association's website. If for some reason it's impossible for you to do that, then please let my office know, and we'll be happy to forward that to you. There are a couple of cases that have come out that I believe are pretty significant. The one that I want to zero in on is a case called Fabian versus Renovate America. In this particular case, the homeowner allegedly entered into an agreement to have solar system through the HERO program placed on her property. All the documents, including all the financial documents, were done through DocuSign. A dispute arose regarding the documents, whether or not the homeowner actually signed the documents, and she claimed that the signatures were not authenticated and were not hers. She refused to arbitrate, and the court determined after a number of hearings that the party claiming that a contract existed was unable to establish that the documents were authentic. It is important to understand that if you're going to use DocuSign, which is perfectly acceptable, very, very convenient, that you have to be able to authenticate in some fashion signatures. Suggestions have included getting a wet signature on a document confirming that DocuSign would be used, so that you have something indicating that all parties have agreed to electronic signatures, and you have a specimen of what that signature might look like. A number of other cases are being tracked, and there'll be much more information down the road for you. A couple of other laws, again, be aware that the new rent cap laws have gone into effect, and we've written some articles on them as well as CAR. Be aware that AB 5 has gone into law now, and if you're going to claim independent contractor status as a real estate professional, you must have a license to sell real estate. You must have a written agreement with the broker to be an independent contractor, and you must be paid on a commission basis. If that's the case, then as we talked about in the last rant, the broker has a right to supervise you and to provide requirements for you to follow. If you are not under the rent control law because your property is exempt, but you intend to raise rent by more than 10%, it is imperative that you understand that instead of a 30-day notice, you must give a 90-day notice. You cannot require 2 months security deposit from those persons in the active military, only a 1-month deposit, unless the property is furnished, in which case you're entitled to 2. That is 1 month less than what the law allows for non-military tenants. Section 8 vouchers are now deemed to be part of a source of income analysis, so you are not allowed to discriminate against anyone because of where their money comes from. That's called source of income. So if I qualify to rent the property that you have available by using any type of public assistance or child support or Section 8 housing or anything like that, that is fine. You can still require me to qualify under other provisions such as credit checks and things like that, so long as you treat me exactly as you would treat any other potential tenant. Very, very important that you not discriminate based on those things. As far as the Department of Fair Housing, be advised that it is very clear now that if the animal is a service dog or service horse or a emotional support animal of some sort, number one, online certificates are presumed to be invalid. You are entitled to an actual certificate from someone who is readily familiar with the tenant and their need for emotional support. Additionally, it has been made very, very clear in these new regulations that even if you have a no pet policy, service animals and emotional support animals are not pets. They are something that a disabled person might need for a reasonable accommodation in order to live a full and robust life. You also need to be careful about not allowing persons with criminal records to rent property. You can only look to convictions of felony charges, and only if those convictions are less than 7 years old, and that's from conviction. If the person was sent to prison, that's not what you count. You count the day of the conviction, and no more than 7 years. I think we're going to cut it off here. There's a lot more to talk about, obviously, but I think that gives you a flavor of a very busy time in real estate. One other issue that will be coming your way soon, the multiple listing service is working on some new MLS rules dealing with holds coming soon and pocket listings. Those rules will go into effect about May 1st. They will provide for a new coming soon status, which will allow you to place a property in the MLS as coming soon, which means you're not going to show it. You're simply going to let everyone know that you have a listing, that the property will be shown at a certain time, and that offers and other marketing will take place. You cannot have any showings, and it will be for a maximum of 21 days. They are working on fines. My understanding, as I sit here right now, is the fines could be fairly significant, and there will be a lot of information coming your way about the new RPA, the new MLS rules, rent control, how you deal with independent contractors, and fair housing regulations. So keep an eye out. The association is going to do everything it can to keep you as updated as possible, but you have to make an effort to stay on top of these issues, and we're going to do the best we can to keep information flowing to you through the newsletter and through other programs such as this one.